It is hard. Everything, birth is always painful. How did you get started in showbiz?
Question, where do I look? I met my dance partner, just Darlinda, in 2003. She was excited about exploring burlesque, and I was very intrigued by choreography and costumes, but very intimidated by the striptease aspect. And I said, I would like to try this out with you, but I'm too scared to get on stage alone. Let's do it. So we created the Schlep Sisters, because we're both Jewish.
Burlesque through theater. I was doing theater work, and I don't know, I guess I just wanted to own my work a little bit more. Create it, curate it, and so I fell into it, basically. It's very boring. I just started doing it. I just tried it, liked it.
I was on the stage prenatally. All three of my parents were theater people, so I don't think I really had any choice when it came down to being on the stage. I'm not sure they fully anticipated the lack of clothing I would have while being on the stage.
We were bored on a Monday night. I worked in a club and there was nothing going on, and we sat around and talked about what can we do that would get people to come out on a Monday night.
Well, it started with an R-rated game show, and my costumer was a burlesque dancer, putting me in smaller and smaller costumes, and I was very bashful at the time. But eventually she convinced me to join a group of dancers in town, which inspired me to look at the international scene. I was blown away by this world that I had no idea it existed previously.
That's what it evolved from.
I got started because I went to a burlesque festival and I thought those gals up on stage were awesome. It was over the top, it was like drag and pin-up and everything combined. It was everything I loved, and I was like, I want to do that too. So I did it.
Well, I was first attracted to burlesque when I was like 10, and I saw the documentary of Josephine and her life. And then when I was 18, 19, I saw a troupe back home called Sweet Teas Burlesque, and it was just reminded me of that moment when I was 10 and I saw that documentary. It was always something I wanted to do.
At 5 years old, my great aunt Edna taught me to strip to Herb Albert's Love Potion No. 9, and I was hooked from there. Might be inappropriate to teach a 5-year-old how to strip, but it was just gloves.
Let's see. I was a go-go dancer. That's how it always starts.
Go-go dancer, go-go dancer.
I was wearing too many clothes, so I thought I needed to take them off.
A friend of mine, she walked me in the only burlesque bar, the one and only burlesque bar in Hamburg. And I walked in there and I saw this beautiful big butt on the stage, and I knew immediately that's what I'm gonna do. I didn't know about burlesque before. I really was serious. I wanted to go on that stage, and for 3 months they wouldn't answer me, and kind of answer and not, and I was just going for it. And then on my birthday, they called me up and said, you know what, we need somebody for tonight. Can you do it? Yes. That's how I started.
I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art, where I was first introduced to burlesque, and I'd always been obsessed with strippers. My mother was a seamstress, and I stole her textbooks and learned how to flat pattern when I was a kid, and that led naturally into performing.
I got started within doing musical theater. I went to the University of Arts in Philly, and then met TRIXIE.
Should I take my glasses off?
And she sucked me into some of the stuff that she was doing. We were doing swing dancing, and we didn't like the dancing, we just liked all the lifts and flips and stuff. Became what we became.
Maybe Dr. Demento would be the start. It's I went to the only high school in the county, and I was already like kind of a bohemian freak show with a lot of rednecks. I don't even know how I found the radio station, but I was like, signs of life! This is it! There's something else out there. You have to look a little deeper for the freaks.
I had a degree in genetics, and I had a job working for a hospital lab. I was a big fan of the Dresden Dolls from Boston, and they invited their fans to perform at their shows. So I Googled making stilts, built myself a pair of stilts, made a costume, and then started parading at their shows, and it changed my life. I never wanted to go back.
Babes in Boykland was actually started kind of by accident as a marketing tool for a porn magazine. I was an editor and writer for. We were throwing a party and needed a gimmick, and I recommended a burlesque show, and they were like, great, you have 6 weeks. So I had to pull together a burlesque show in 6 weeks, basically out of thin air.
It started in a carnival. I was a cooch girl. Put me up on that valley, I started and worked my way all the way down in the carnival to Florida, and then started in clubs.
For me, I was making a documentary about the Velvet Hammer because I knew a bunch of them socially, and I fell in love with who they were and what they presented on stage. And I followed them for 3 years, and I realized I was really kind of apprenticeshipping with them.
My mother.
Your mother?
Took me to see both the Harlem Nutcracker and a screening of Cabaret in the same year when I was like 9. Dancing naked on stage, kind of, it was always in the back of my mind as being something really cool. Moved to New York and took world famous Bob's self-confidence workshop. It was amazing, so I decided to take class after class after class and started performing. It just kind of happened.
I was tricked into my first performance. My friend Lulu Roxy told me that she wanted me to be a prop in her act. I'm taking off my clothes and you're not taking off anything. And she's all, yep. I'm all, you tricked me.
Someone asked me to sing for them while they danced in this little tiny show called the Peekaboo Review that was at a place called the Five Spot in Philadelphia. And I thought, okay. I fell in love the first time I saw the Peekaboo Review. And the first time I saw the Peekaboo Review was when I was in the show. And that was it. From that day on, I was part of burlesque.
In the time that I was performing or just starting my burlesque career, I was also doing Rocky Horror, but also weaning off that Rocky Horror tit, as it were. Rocky Horror really kind of seasoned me.
I was a huge Rocky Horror fan, and I just loved it. I fell in love. It was amazing. You know, and I produced it, I directed it, I acted in it, and that's how I came to burlesque.
I started as a stripper when I was 18, thinking that it was going to be like all of those old pictures that I'd come across of women in like furs and rhinestones and, you know, and champagne and all that, and it just wasn't. But that didn't really stop me from when I was a stripper, getting fancy clothing and playing around with it anyway.
So I started out in New York doing stand-up comedy, and then was always interested in magic and sideshow, and would do it a little bit on the side. And then got more interested in magic and sideshow, so much so that I started doing a show with a buddy of mine. Joe Boob said, you know what, you guys are weird, you're not really like this traditional type magic, you might fit well into this burlesque show. It was in New York, it was fully nude, it was a crazy show. We loved it, I loved it. Once I did that burlesque show, The Scandal, I said, this is where I need to be.
Well, I have some friends that live in Vegas that brought me to a show. And I didn't know anything about burlesque back then, but I truly had an epiphany. I realized I didn't have to make a choice anymore for my career. I could just enjoy every aspect of what I really like in life, meaning being on stage, singing, dancing, costuming, photography, and also enjoy the business end of things, you know, producing. I'm completely fulfilled. You know, so the choice was clear and all came all together in 1 second when I saw my first show. It was like
I saw a burlesque show called the Fisherman's Famous Burlesque Orchestra, run by Brian the Fisherman, who's now in New York, and he was in San Francisco at the time. He said, hey, we need a gorilla in our show because our old gorilla moved away and you seem like the kind of person who would be up for that. So how about it? And I said, sign me up. That sounds awesome. 6 months later, my identity solidified as Gorilla X, Gorilla to the Stars.
When I was in year 3, so I guess that's 7 years old, I became obsessed with Queen Elizabeth I. My love of Shakespeare took me through school, through high school, and eventually to university. At university, I discovered cabaret, saw burlesque in its real environment. Thought that it was inspiring and wonderful and creative, and it was basically every element of my degree in one job. You know, it's performance, it's directing, it's costume making, it's promotion, it's marketing, it's all of these things. So I booked myself into a show and debuted.
Really started from when I was a little kid seeing the movie King Kong, the old 1933 King Kong. It got me interested in movies and film and filmmaking. My dad bought me a camera. I took his Super 8 camera and started making little home movies, and then he bought me a still camera, and I was always the one who was taking the pictures on family picnics or vacations or anything like that. Back in the late 90s, got into burlesque. So I started shooting pictures for burlesque shows, specifically the Velvet Hammer. I just really love it so much that I think it's because it's an important thing to document.
Okay, well, it was my lover. She was a really amazing performance artist in the 90s, and she ran an event called Miss Wicked, looking for the wickedest woman in Australia, which is effectively, I guess, what started the whole burlesque revival in Oz, because she was a very bad girl, and I followed in her footsteps.
What? It happened. Burlesque found me.